opacity for a coil. You mentioned using ID maps for it, and I changed my springs to be a cone with spiral geometry to reduce try count. Absolutely. ID maps. Okay, not all of you are going to use that, but that is a good strategy, and that's a good technique that I can cover here. ID maps. ID maps are not everything that you're all going to use, though. Not everyone's going to be able to do that. I would encourage you, if you guys are doing a lot of floating geometry, or something that's going to repeat itself over and over again, like you have a bunch of holes. If I'm doing a speaker and I have a bunch of holes where it's just like, I have all these holes here, I don't want to go in there and paint opacity on all of these or paint blackness in all of these. What the heck am I going to do? How can I make my life easier here? Here's how we do it, okay? Now, this only works in the high-res version, so do not make multiple materials in the game res. The game res should all be one material, okay? But what we can do here, let me do my speaker set real quick here. With my high res, I need to turn that UV checker off. It's really annoying. Damn, out of there. I also don't want that there either. Why are you making life so difficult? I don't want to see your stuff. There we go. Okay, we're back to normal again. Let's make a hole for the speaker. We're gonna do like a speaker screen here. I see the music is finally getting on the ball. Thank you, music, for crying out loud. Thank you. I'm gonna grab everything. Grab it all. And then don't grab that. Just delete that. Flip my faces around here. All of them. Flip all of them around. Thank you. Okay, here's my hole for my speaker. I'm gonna do my floating geometry on it. We're just gonna project this guy on here, okay? Now here's where things get tricky, where you say to yourself, well, okay, now I have my speaker and my holes here. Let me start duplicating again my speaker shape in there. That is the wrong step, okay? What we can do here is we can, this is gonna be a baked piece of geometry, so keep that in mind as well, okay? This is just gonna get baked on as a normal map. This is not gonna actually be geometry, okay? So keep that in mind when I'm duplicating this. Because what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to change, add a new material. I like to just do surface shaders because they're nice and clean. Surface shader. Let's change the color to, let's just pick red. Pick something like as pure as possible, the purest of reds in all of puredom. Okay, you have all these base colors up here are pure colors. So we have red, green, I think this is blue. I'm sorry, I'm colorblind. I usually just pick red and green, okay? Pick something that's a pure color. If it has like little bits of green in it, then this will produce some really weird effects for you, okay? So RGs and Bs. You guys can see colors more than me, so that should work for you. So this is just for your high res now. I'm not sure. I think you actually have to do the rest of it too. So let me paint the rest of this thing another material. New material, surface shader. Take that color out and let's do green. I hope that's a good enough green for you guys. I hope that is green actually. Let me know if it's not. I don't do this a lot. But I do believe that it works. Actually, you know, I don't need to make a new material for this. I just need to update it to the existing one. Okay, so we got surface shader on this thing now, okay? Now, this is gonna set up on the high res, okay? This is gonna set my high res up to bake an ID map for this shape, okay? I'm just gonna delete this guy. Combine these guys together here. Let's just do a duplicate. And we'll offset it like this. Duplicate again, offset, duplicate again, offset, and so on and so forth, right? Me doing this in the high res, I mean, truthfully, if I wanted to be really smart about this, I would just grab that crap and just go to town. Actually, no, let's leave one out. There we go. Combine it, and now I should be good to go here. Just move it a little bit, and then just keep going. There we go. All set. Not perfect, but it'll get the job done. Let me split these shapes up now. Grab those shapes. Good to go. Let's extend you out so you bake on there. Okay, so here, let me give you a demonstration of this real quick. UVs of this should be good, right? Hell yeah, they are. This is gonna be my plane, my game res. Let me just export this guy out. File, export selection. Just put this guy on the desktop. We'll do an FBX. Screen low. That didn't like that. Whatever. We're gonna grab this now. Export this guy. It's not liking this. What's happening? Screen high. It doesn't like the surface shader. Converted to Lambert's. So you might have to use Lambert's. I thought the surface shader did that for us. Save this guy. Open up that new file and we'll see what that screen looks like now. Come over to the desktop. What? Oh, I want to make a new file. There we go, sorry. Wrong option there. There we go. Import that screen low in there. Compute my tangent space per fragment. Sure, 2048. I don't care. No, we'll just do 1024 for right now. Let's make this quick. Okay, we're in. I don't know where my. It's there it is. Flat. Okay, so that is my game res, and this is going to be my high res. I'm going to do a normal map and ID at the same time, and let's see what happens. We're going to rely on material color here for that ID map, okay? So that's what I'm going to change to is material color. Let's see what happens here. First off, I need to put my high res in there. Plug you in. 1024 should do the job just fine. I don't need to worry about anti-aliasing or matching because I didn't name that crap. So let's do it. There we go. My normal maps are in there now. That's how I projected on there, okay? Once again, this is just geometry that I baked on there, okay? Normal map bake from that floating geometry, okay? Pretty cool, right? So now, I also, though, if I press B, you'll see I have that ID map in there now, okay? So now I can say, well, hot dog, I can, let's make a fill layer. Let's do some opacity on this, okay? Let's be cool with opacity. Now I don't have any damn opacity in this thing yet. So I need to add an opacity channel. I also need to come over yonder and I need to change my material to have alphas in it. I can do opacity or alpha blending, which is blending opacity. That's more like glass. Okay, I haven't given you guys the demonstration on what the different opacities are because you have two. Blending opacity is like glass. It's partially there or it's not there, okay? And then masking opacity is it's either there or it's not. It's 1 or 0, okay? So that's what happened with my chair was that gray stuff. It couldn't understand the grays because it was masking. Now, why you may say to yourself, why wouldn't everyone just do glass opacity, okay? The reason behind this is glass opacity is pretty cool, but it does not cast the right shadow on your model, okay? So if I wanted this radio screen to cast a good shadow of opacity onto whatever's happening behind it, then I would want to have masking opacity and not blending opacity. So that's what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this guy a masking opacity with alpha test, okay? Now that I have my opacity channel, I can click on that OP right there, and now I have opacity. I'm gonna turn that down to 0. I don't want you in existence at all. Now, we need to make a mask, okay? I need to add a mask with color selection. Color selection is grabbing my ID map and saying, okay, which color do you want, buddy? Let's go to our baked map here. This is a 2D view. Why am I trying to turn it around? I'm gonna grab my color picker and just pick a color. There we go. That's the one I want. Now, watch this. Ha-ha. I have opacity now on my model. Keep in mind, though, I did do a 1024 bake on this thing, so I am getting that pixelization that's happening there. That's aliasing from the low-res bake that I did there, okay? But now, I've got my little screen that's happening here, okay? And if I had another thing behind it, it would be casting a shadow that would be this exact shape that's happening here, okay? But that was just me grabbing my ID mask with color selection. I believe it's this one here too, so you can do that as well, okay? But that's what I'm doing is I'm making that color selection. I'm making it influence this right here, and that is what's happening. I just masked all that out, and it's still, and that's why we got that rim there too. We got that little rim around those holes, which is really important. That gives it some depth, okay? That way we don't just have those flat holes stamped in there. It's just like, well, that looks really fake because there's no depth there. But now we have some depth with that normal map, and that's another reason why that floating geometry stuff worked out, okay? So there we go. That is ID maps and how to do them, and that's using the high res only. Once again, that game res is only going to be one material. Don't let it be anything different than that one material. But if you need to make an ID mask that selects things like this, that would be important. Everyone else, if you're just modeling this thing and you want to select the geometry that are in different pieces, you have geometry selectors here. If you come over here in a selection mode, I can grab things by squares, by triangles, by whole entire shapes, and even by UV shells. So if you want control over that kind of stuff with ID maps, I would just say you're probably just better at grabbing shapes and not going through the whole separate materials thing that is probably going to confuse you, okay? But that's ID maps. Someone there? Sorry, I got a little blip of sound. I thought someone was talking. Feel free to talk if you need to, if you have to ask any questions, okay? For you, Osvaldo, I would say you probably want to do something like this. Do I have to worry about seeing through the other side of the spring? Oh, okay, sorry, my headphone's probably dying. I think that's the blip I'm hearing, since it's a cone. Well, you want to be able to see the backside, okay? You want to be able to see that you're gonna have to use double-sided geometry, okay? So you can see the back of that spring. I hope that makes sense to you there. Once again, just like I showed you with that, with my little homie. You guys can still hear me, right? Yeah, I still see my mic going up and down. Nav bots, let's open you in a new tab. He did have double-sided geometry there so that you could see the spring from the other side. So that is important. You do want to be able to do that. You won't have to worry about it baking like that though, because it's only going to bake the top of the outside of it. You don't need it to bake the inside. The outside just gonna the outside's going to be the same as the inside. So whatever happens out here is going to happen in there. I think I'm going to have to end this session here soon because I think my stuff's about to die. But we have that cone there that's happening, right? For your spring. Do a little chamfer here so we have some better geometry to work with. Kind of push my, well, I probably don't even need this shape. No, we do need that one. Poke the face and get that helix in there. I'm sorry if I cut out here. But yeah, I mean, if you just set your stuff up with materials, I don't know if you guys, do you have a round cap? No, you don't really need round cap. But what I could do here is just grab these guys in here. Just do like a soft select probably. Where is my brush? All the way out there. Okay. Here we go. Actually, what I want to do is that probably use that flare deformer. Just grab that flare. Let's do end flare like this. We'll put a little bit of a curve in there too. That's kind of making things weird. We'll play around with that, but okay, delete the history. Kind of bring this guy in like that. And this could easily be those shapes now. So I make my materials happen here. Surface shader R. Or you probably want the opposite actually. If you want this thing to be a hole, this one needs to be the red, and this one needs to be the green. It doesn't really matter what colors you choose, as long as you know what colors you're selecting, okay? So that would kind of like be my high res there. You know, you're probably gonna want to shape this a little bit better. This would be my high res. Right here is both of them selected. And then this would just be my game res without the actual spring there. And then you would have the opportunity to grab that area to select it and mask it out for opacity. Just grab the reds, and the reds will mask out the opacity, and you'll just have that shape there.